Hi, this is Elena Love, and you're listening to the Pure Joy Podcast. Welcome. Today, I'm going to be talking a little bit about holiday eating and holiday balancing. This is the Thanksgiving weekend in 2018, and if you're listening to this and you've just pigged out for the last couple days on Thanksgiving, great. I hope you enjoyed that indulgence. But today, what I'm going to talk about is digestive enzymes and how to really balance your health in the best way while going through the holidays. Now, what I hear a lot from people during the holidays is, in January, I'm going to start my cleanse. And I hear this every year, and people gain 10 to 20 pounds over the 2 months, starting in probably Halloween time. They figure, it's already fall. The weather's getting colder. I just feel like eating more. And they use it as an excuse to just start indulging, especially starting the week of Thanksgiving. Families are in town. They're going out to eat. They're, of course, indulging in their Thanksgiving meal. And then there's leftovers, which they have to eat all weekend long. And then right around the corner is Christmas time, Christmas parties, work parties, drinking lots more alcohol and wine and cookies and candies and cakes and pies and you name it. And yes, this is something that you can look at and say, I'm just going to do this. But I want to share with you that for the last 21 years, since 1997, I decided to ditch that way of looking at the holidays. And it has served me very, very well. Do I sometimes indulge? Of course. Do I eat white sugar and flour? No. And that's kind of where I have what I would call what I will not do or what I will do sometimes. And so if we have hard, fast rules about things we just absolutely don't do, it takes the willpower guessing game out of whether or not we will do it. Here's an example. Well, maybe I'll have pumpkin pie. I'll just see how I feel. So if you say that to yourself, then in your mind, you're basically setting yourself up to have pumpkin pie. And if that's something that you can eat and feel super great about, and you're not going to get an inflammatory reaction, for me, when I eat white sugar and gluten and white flour, I actually get a yeast or candida reaction of itchiness, inability to sleep. My feet get really hot, so that's an allergic reaction. I get irritable and cranky for at least 2 or 3 days afterwards. Is that worth it for one piece of pie? Absolutely not. Not for me. And it's not about gaining weight because I could eat a piece of pie and then go do a run or burn those calories. It's really having nothing to do with that. It's how does that food make me feel? So if you have an already always of I just don't eat gluten and I don't eat white sugar because I don't enjoy the way I feel, then you're going to do one of two things. You're going to either A, when the pumpkin pie comes out, I'll pass. And B, you're going to have an alternative recipe. And that's where I come in with all of my healthy, alternative, plant-based options on purejoyplanet.com. I give people tons of recipes. We actually sell a ketogenic Thanksgiving recipe packet every year and holiday packet. And people love that because they can still make their pumpkin pie chocolate swirl cheesecake or their sweet potato pie using things like coconut sugar or stevia or lakanto. If you've got serious health issues, it's not just about just relax, don't worry about it. People with serious health issues, whether it be candida, cancer, diabetes, chronic inflammation, also known as autoimmune, which has a host of things that happen to people, including things like PCOS, polycystic ovarian syndrome. These are not just, don't be such a baby kind of things. These are, if you eat this pumpkin pie with white sugar and white flour and condensed sweetened cow's milk that it has hormones, you will suffer. And that's really just what I want to talk about today, about how can we get and navigate through the holidays without gaining those 20 pounds and without feeling like we're deprived, and also without feeling like our friends and family are looking at us like we're a little bit crazy. Now, the little bit crazy part I've kind of just gotten used to. It started with my family and, they would just kind of, that's just Elena. She just does what she does. And now, since I've been doing it for so long, they're interested in what I do, especially my sister. She and I actually eat the same now. So that made it a lot easier. And when it comes to friends, they'll understand it's all about just kind of how we frame it. If we make a big deal of it, then of course they're going to notice it. But if we're like, I'm just I'm going to have something else, or I'll have some later, or that's not just going to work for me. I have an allergy, whatever it is we want to say that's going to make it just feel okay for us. But it's also about really educating people, because I think a lot of people don't realize that chronic knee pain or that chronic shoulder pain or that back pain or their chronic headaches, maybe if they were to give up the pumpkin pie or they were to give up the sugar and the white flour and the gluten, they might get relief from those symptoms. So sometimes if we can just gently say, oh, well, when I eat this, this is how I feel. And it could plant a seed to say, oh, well, maybe that could help me too. And the less threatening we are about it, the more open our friends and family are going to be about wanting to try it. And really just giving them permission to try it or not try it. Like, oh, this is so fun. This is what works for me. And I mean, like today is Thanksgiving when I'm recording this, and I'm planning on enjoying a quadruple layered chocolate mousse pie that's plant-based, made with coconut cream and coconut sugar. And the crust is made from walnuts and more coconut sugar and coconut and lots of different ingredients. But I don't normally eat coconut sugar. Today, I'm going to have some, and I'm really looking forward to it. And it tastes like a candy bar, and it's awesome. And I don't feel deprived. I don't feel like tomorrow I'm like, wow, I missed out. Because actually, this tastes better than any donut or any regular, Safeway bought pie you're going to ever get. It's going to be delicious. It's going to be amazing. It's going to make you feel good. So as we go through the holiday season, here are some tips, tricks, things you can try just to make your life just a little bit easier. The number one thing on my list is digestive enzymes. Now at purejoyplanet.com/store, we do sell some really awesome digestive enzymes. And I use them on a daily basis. I take 3 or 4 before a meal, not all the time, but on a meal that I think is like this chocolate mousse pie tort, on a meal that I think is going to be a little bit harder to digest. And if I'm going to eat a lot of nuts and seeds or a lot of fats or just a lot of carbohydrates, like I might have some sweet potatoes today as well. And it's not that those are bad foods. It's just that sometimes it takes my body a little bit more work to digest those. So digestive enzymes should be in your apothecary. When I say apothecary, I mean when you open your cupboard in your kitchen, you should have things like apple cider vinegar, which helps. It's kind of almost like a digestive. You take that 1 or 2 tablespoons before a meal, and that's going to help increase your acid in your stomach to help digest your food a little bit better. Some digestive enzymes. Now, I carry these in my purse. And if I'm out at a restaurant and I'm like, well, I don't usually have this gluten-free bread, but if I have a piece today, I'll just take some enzymes with it. I will hardly even notice that I ate those. There's also another line of these enzymes that we carry by the same company, and they're called gluten relief. So if you have gluten or you're going out and gonna have gluten, you can take these gluten relief enzymes. Amazing. People that take them, since I don't eat gluten, I don't really take them because I just never eat gluten. But people that do indulge in gluten from time to time notice that this does not affect them, even if they have a gluten allergy. So that's it's not a license just to go and eat all the gluten you want, but it's really going to be helpful, especially during these holiday times. Okay, so we talked about enzymes, digestive enzymes. We talked about apple cider vinegar. Keep a bottle of Bragg's or some kind of unpasteurized, make sure it's unpasteurized, by a quality, reputable company that you can just have in your cupboard, apple cider vinegar before a meal. Now, no other kind of vinegar will work. It's not that you can have white vinegar or you can't have balsamic. Those are very acidic and actually caustic for the system and can cause hemorrhoids as well as major acidity in the body. Apple cider vinegar is an exception, and that's the one vinegar that I like to use when I make recipes, or lemon juice. I prefer lemon juice, but in a pinch, I'll use apple cider vinegar. Another really helpful trick for just your day-to-day eating to avoid bloating is something called Atrantil. Now, that's another one we carry on purejoyplanet.com, and it's got 3 particular herbs and or types of medicinal roots, oils, whatnot in them that help with the bacteria that live in a lot of our guts. If you're someone who never gets bloated, congratulations, I'm so happy for you. I'm not one of those people, and it's been since birth that I remember looking back at pictures of me as a child having this bloated belly, and my bloating has pretty much altogether disappeared. And the reason for that is because I take this Atrantil. Now, I don't take it on a regular basis anymore, but I did go through, like they suggest, the company suggests, I went through 2 complete bottles of it, eating it before my first bite of food every time, so 3 meals a day, and taking 2 to 3 capsules. And what I noticed is those bugs and bacteria in the gut got neutralized. And so those are the ones that make you bloat. And they feed on your food before you do. That's why you can have 1 bite of food and get instantly bloated. And you're like, what the heck? I didn't even do anything. Like, man, this sucks. So taking Atrantil, and now what I do, because it's been a couple of years now that I've been taking it, is I just have it in my cupboard and I'll take it when I think about it. And so especially before like a Thanksgiving dinner or before a meal that I know usually causes bloating, like sweet potatoes for me cause bloating, anything with any kind of sweetener in it or carbohydrate for my body is very bloating. So take the Atrantil, and so you can take that with your enzymes. So what I'll do is 2 Atrantil followed by 3 or 4 digestive enzymes. Good, I'm done. At night, what I like to take is something called reconstructive enzymes. Now, these enzymes are different than digestive. These are called metabolic enzymes. And what they do is they help break down fibrin in your body. Now, if you've ever had fibroid cysts in your breasts or your uterus or your fallopian tubes that can cause painful swelling and inflammation, these will help to break down the fibrin in your body. They also go to work on scar tissue. So you've got some people with brown skin get really big, bulging scars. It's just the way that their body works. This can help break down that scar tissue. If you've had surgery of any kind and you just have a big scar, this will break that down. If you have internal scar tissue, of course, that causes a lot of pain. Like if you ripped a shoulder tendon or a knee tendon, and then for the rest of your life, you kind of have pain. This reconstructive enzymes, also known as metabolic enzymes, also known as serrapeptase, is one of the enzymes that are in this formula, will within 10 days really start to break it down. I tell people go through a couple bottles. If you want to do the medicinal formula, and it won't hurt anybody. Like if you take it, it's not going to hurt you at all, even if you don't need that level of enzymes. 10 enzymes at a time. You can do them twice a day in the morning. Right when you wake up, have them next to your bed on an empty stomach. These are important to do on an empty stomach because if you don't, then you're just going to end up digesting the food that's in your belly. So in the morning, first thing, and then you can go get in your sauna or your hot bath or do your fitness. And then nighttime, right before going to sleep. And hopefully at that time you are going to bed with an empty stomach. If you're someone who eats late at night, then you might not want to waste these enzymes on just digesting food. But if you're someone that goes to bed with an empty stomach, this is a great way. You can also keep them next to your bed. And if you're a person that wakes up at 3 a.m. to pee, take them then, because your stomach will be empty, hopefully by then, or emptier. And these are going to work on, I've had it help people with polycystic ovarian syndrome to break down that scar tissue. And lo and behold, nothing else has worked. And these have actually helped people heal from PCOS. So this is something for you to experiment with, and you can try. Other things to think about during this holiday season. Willpower doesn't really work. And there's a really great book out called Willpower Doesn't Work. And you can find that on Amazon and read that book because it's awesome. But one of the things he talks about in that book is that if you have an already always or a plan, like I was talking about, like I just don't eat gluten, then it's not willpower that's coming into play. Like for me, I don't eat dairy, I don't eat gluten. So if I'm driving and it's a late night drive and I'm really hungry and I drive by a ice cream place, I'm not going to go in. I'm not going to even be tempted to stop because I don't eat dairy, because I know how dairy affects my gut. It causes doubling over in pain and inflammation and a host of things that happen to me when I eat dairy. So of course, that's on my list of things I just never do. Now, if there's a list of things you never do, and maybe this is something new for you. Okay, I want to give up gluten this year. Or I want to give up at least white flour or white foods this year. Put that on your I never do list. And then that way the willpower is taken out of it. The other thing you can do is like, oh my gosh, I'm always tempted by gluten-free cookies, especially when I'm hungry. And I know that they're in the store and like they're pretty healthy because they don't use white sugar and but I still always feel a little bit bad if I eat them. So for that kind of thing where you're like just tempted by it because you're like, your brain kind of says, well, it's not that bad to eat blue organic corn chips, but you just know that the next day you never feel good or you gain weight when you eat them. So this is where you come up with some tricks and things you can do to really help yourself in those moments. The first one is the next time I'm tempted by fill in the blank, gluten-free cookies or blue corn tortilla chips, or just any kind of, I'm out and I want to eat some sweet potato French fries. I'm going to, and you have a list of 3 things you can do. One could be, I'm going to do 20 push-ups, or I'm going to do push-ups to exhaustion before I have them. And now if you're out at a restaurant, that might not be an option, but at home, it's definitely an option. The second one can be, if I'm tempted, I'm going to drink a full 16 ounces of water. So if you're at a restaurant, you ask them, can I have a full glass of water? You drink that whole thing before you eat the sweet potato French fries. And the third thing is I'm going to call a friend, or I'm going to text a friend. So if you're at the restaurant and you have this buddy that's your accountability buddy, which I talk about in our love camps about how to get your own buddy that you can have to text at that time. Someone who's not going to say, oh, just do it. Someone that's going to say, no, you committed to me that you really don't want to do this. Let's, don't do it. So if you text them, at least you'll get someone on your team to say, I'm here for you, have some soda water with lemon instead, or what are some other choices on the menu that you can have? Maybe you can order a side of avocados, or you can order, if you're just feeling like snacking, a side of avocados with some salt might be just the trick. So have a plan in place for the next time XYZ indulgence comes up. And that could be a walk around the block. Like where I live, now that it's fall and winter, it's a little bit at 9:00 at night. If I get a temptation to walk around the block, might be a little bit chilly. So I would probably do some jumping jacks, some push-ups, some sit-ups, some burpees. Burpees are great because you're out of breath and then it changes your state. So you want to do some kind of state changing thing that you can do for yourself. Okay, so that's another option that you can do. Journaling is really helpful. So you can ask yourself in that moment, like let's say you're at home and these cookies are in the cupboard and you don't normally buy them, but they're in there and they're calling to you because you ate half a pack the night before and you're like, oh, they're still there, or the coconut bliss or something's in the freezer. Get your journal out first, or you can just talk text it to yourself, like talk text into your phone, and maybe if you have a journal app, it's great. And you can say, how am I feeling right now? Okay, am I hungry? No. Am I lonely? Not really. Am I feeling a certain emotion? Maybe I just had a conversation with someone, or someone texted me something that upset me. Am I upset? Answer the questions. So if it's no, I'm not any of those things, and maybe I'm just bored. Maybe I'm bored, or I feel like I deserve a treat. And that, I'm not sure where that comes from for me when that comes in. I don't know if it's boredom, but I'm trying to nail that emotion, because deservability isn't really an emotion, but it could just have something to do with boredom or one of those emotions. So anyway, whatever it is, just write it down in your journal. Like, I'm really just feeling like I deserve something special. Okay, what can you do in place of that deserving something special? So for me, my new thing is taking hot Epsom salt bath with lavender oil, and I turn off all the lights and I light a candle, and I either watch something. If I want, I let myself watch a little video on Netflix, or my favorite new thing is to go on Insight Timer and put on they have a music section now, and I can put on, you can pick the amount of time, like 10, 15, 20 minutes of soothing music. And there's one I think it's called I Love You, and it's the Ho'oponopono app. A Ho'oponopono song, and it says, I'm sorry, I love you, please forgive me, and thank you. And it's the most beautiful music, and it just makes me feel so soothed and loved and cared for. And that hot bath and the Epsom salt in there. And then I'm doing self-care. Other things you can do for ladies is you can paint your toenails. For men, you can maybe do some kind of drawing or artwork or a vision board. Vision boards don't have to be that you're cutting out things in a magazine. It can just be like drawing on a piece of paper some of your dreams and visions. I find that watching Netflix or watching things on TV when you're feeling tempted by food is probably not ideal. So doing something that involves your hands. What projects have you been meaning to get to? So finding some projects. So these are all just tips and tricks to get you through the holidays when there's things around that you're going to want to eat. The number one thing that I should have mentioned first, but I'm going to say it now, is don't bring it home. If you gotta have it, go out and get it and finish it before you get home. That means for me, and I haven't had it in a while because I'm on this new kick where I'm actually really working with taking these baths and doing my journaling. But coconut bliss can be a weakness for me. That's a coconut ice cream that's super yummy, but it's still super high in carbohydrates. And it does have agave in it, which I don't really eat. Actually, that's on my do not eat list. However, every once in a while, I'm like, I just want coconut bliss. So if I were to have that indulgence, I would eat the amount that I wanted and then either give it to a friend. Since I live in Bend, it's easy to just to text someone and say, hey, can I drop off some coconut bliss at your house? Or B, just let it go, get rid of it. The great way to do that is maybe just to buy a small serving. They have the little bars that you can buy that are a one-person serving versus buying a whole pint that you feel like you have to finish. So not bringing it home is a huge trick. Now, for me, that's easy because I'm single and I live alone and I don't have anything in my cupboards that are going to tempt me. And if I do have leftover like amazing chocolate mousse torte, it's in my freezer completely frozen for a time when I know, I'm having a party. So that's not really an option because how am I going to defrost it within that 15-minute period? So I don't have anything in my house that's going to tempt me. I don't keep coconut sugar even at home. I do have a big garage and I have tubs. So because I teach a culinary school and I teach classes, I do have some of these ingredients, usually just things like coconut sugar. Most of them are just nuts and seeds. So I can keep them out in the garage in a tub, the third tub down that's full, like topped with heavy things on top. So make it really hard for yourself to get to these things. Get what I'm saying here? So these are all tips and tricks. So for going through the holidays and not gaining weight, I want to encourage you to look at a ketogenic diet. We are actually offering our ketogenic program starting in January, which is our 1-month love camp, which will teach you all about how to eat a ketogenic diet with a high plant-based focus, all natural foods. Everything's organic. We're not throwing in weird ingredients or tons of dairy or tons of eggs or tons of any animal products. We're really focusing mainly on plant-based, but we call it flexitarian. So people that want can add in a little bit of animal products, which we don't have a problem with. We are not about judging. We are just about offering the most high vibe food on the planet that you can possibly get. Our recipes are amazing. So because that's in January, you still need to get through the holidays. So some things to think about is just finding some really healthy alternative recipes on the internet and pre-making your yummy fat bombs that are ketogenic fat bombs that you can keep in the freezer and just pop one of those in. One of my favorites is almond butter mixed with a chai spice, mixed with a little coconut oil and some stevia and salt. And that's it. And you make a yummy batter and then you put them in like little chocolate molds that you can just form a bunch of them. And then once they set up in the fridge, you pop them out, put them in a baggie and place them in the freezer or a Tupperware container. And you've got a little treat. You can bring these to parties, put some peppermint oil in there and some chocolate and tell people they're just chocolate candies and they don't need to know that they're ketogenic. You can put a little stevia in them. And then the people that really want to know, they get excited with you on the side. Like, what are you doing now? And so it's really just about taking care of yourself and looking out for yourself. So remembering that willpower is not going to get you through. So before you go to this party, you need to eat. Go ahead and eat a full, fatty, healthy, ketogenic meal before you go. Load up on all the calories that you need. And then when you get there, you can kind of scout the table out for, there's some broccoli, there's some, a platter of veggies, or there's some kale salad, or somebody made, something that looks a little more on the healthy side. You can have those, but just avoid the cakes, candies, the pies. Keep some ketogenic mints, like some sugar-free mints in your purse. Or I like the mint peppermint breath spray. As soon as I spray that in my mouth, my appetite completely disappears. And I'm like, nah, I'm good. My breath feels fresh. I don't feel like munching on stuff. When you're at parties, keep yourself occupied on the dance floor or find people to talk to. Keep yourself as far away from the dessert table as possible. If you're going to a party, bring the hostess like the item that you want to eat. So bring a big marinated kale salad or bring, something delicious that is going to be healthy for you. And then that way, when it comes to eating, you can mainly put that on your plate and a couple other things on there. These are all really great tricks. Going to restaurants, sneak an avocado. If you don't think they have avocado there, put one in your purse or your bag. Guys are now carrying bags, so this will work for you guys too. Have your own salt shaker so that you're not using white table salt, that you got your own high mineral salt with you. You can have your own little tiny squirt bottle of MCT oil or olive oil in your purse or your bag. So then you say when you order the salad, if they use canola oil, which is a big no-no, any vegetable oil other than really healthy like avocado, olive oil, coconut oil, which is too solid at room temperature, or MCT oil, which is liquid at room temperature. Pumpkin seed oil is great. Sometimes some sesame, unrefined sesame oil, or some macadamia nut oil, whatever you want. Put it in a little squeezy bottle. They now have these squeezy bottles that are like travel size that you can just keep in your bag that are leak proof. And so you don't have to worry about them leaking in your bag. I usually have a little baggie full of soaked and dehydrated almonds or some sun-dried olives in my purse. And then you get this salad. And so instead of feeling bummed out because there's hardly anything on it that you want, you squeeze your little oil on there. You ask for some lemon on the side. You throw some olives and some dried almonds on top, maybe some hemp seeds that you got in your bag, or maybe just make a little mix so you're not like pulling out 6 bags, like a little handful of olives, sunflower seeds, hemp seeds, almonds, all mixed together with some salt in a baggie, and you got that as a snack mix, and you sprinkle that over your salad. Nobody's going to care. They're actually going to be like, wow, I'm impressed. I do that all the time on airplanes, and people are like, where'd you get that food? That's not on the menu. And I'm like, yeah, I pre-planned. So pre-planning is huge. Get a little mini cooler that you can keep in your car with your green juices. And I'll get more into this later about how to kind of plan your whole day. I can do a whole podcast on that. But I hope this helps you a little bit get through the holidays. Remember to take your digestive enzymes. Remember to take your metabolic enzymes at night. Drink your apple cider vinegar before you indulge in a meal. Do some sit-ups, some burpees, some jumping jacks before you eat carbohydrates to kind of get your metabolism running. And call a friend or get an accountability buddy. Journal, do some vision boarding, put a big picture on the fridge of someone in a really hot body that you would love to look like, whether it's the opposite sex that you want to attract or it's your own physical body, like for women, a picture of a really lovely looking lady that you're like, oh yeah, I wouldn't mind looking like that. Put that right on your fridge or right in the place where you're going to most see it when you're going to indulge. And one trick a friend of mine had, okay, you can indulge in anything you want, but you have to take all of your clothes off and eat it in front of the mirror. And I think that's a great trick. Like, okay, you can eat this, but you have to eat it naked and you have to watch yourself eat it. And then maybe that's going to deter you from actually indulging. So have a great holiday season. I love you guys. Remember to go to purejoyplanet.com for all your recipes and your blogs and any of your needs as far as courses, online courses. We have a free juicing course that you can check out. And remember to rate and review me on podcast. If you would love to give me 5 stars, I would love that. And please write a review and I will read it. I'm going to start reading reviews as soon as I get enough of them on the podcast. So please have an amazing holiday season. And I will see you guys in January at our January Love Camp.